Be part of the peace movement. Share this episode using hashtag The Great Disarmament and download the free peace resource guide at aviskalfsbeck.com/peace guide. The Great Disfarmament, The Great Disarmament, Part 3, Gunpowder and Guano. Hi, I'm Avis Kalfsbeck, author, podcast host, and peace storyteller. This is The Great Disfarmament, The Great Disarmament, a special podcast series from Peace is Here, tracing the parallel histories of how we learn to kill and how we might stop. If you're just joining us, welcome. Each episode maps a moment in the twin stories of war and agriculture. Today's episode takes us to the 1700s and 1800s, an age of empires, muskets, and revolutions. Farming was scaling up, so was warfare, and both began to dig deep into mines, into colonies, and into the earth itself. If the last episode was about intimacy, small tools, small harvests, personal death, this one is about scale. The 18th and 19th centuries introduced a new rhythm: expansion, more land, more guns, more yield, and more death. Gunpowder reigned on the battlefield, and on the farm, a different kind of powder, guano. Bird droppings scraped from distant islands, sold as fertilizer, hailed as a miracle, harvested as conquest. This is Gunpowder and Guano, the story of how empire crept into both war and food. Let's begin with war. The 1700s saw the rise of muskets, cannons, and mass conscription. Battles shifted from small skirmishes to sprawling campaigns. One of the clearest examples, the Napoleonic Wars fought between 1803 and 1815. These were not minor border disputes. They were large-scale national conflicts that spanned continents and killed an estimated 3.5 million people, including civilians. War was now a national endeavor, organized, industrial, and glorified. Let's be clear, large-scale war didn't begin with Napoleon. Empires had already risen and fallen: Rome, Persia, the Mongols, the Ottomans, each carving their names into the earth with swords, fire, and blood. But in the 1700s, something shifted. The killing scaled up, the ambitions went global, and the weapons, like the crops, got mechanized. Colonialism spread like wildfire. The British Empire expanded across Asia and Africa. Spain and Portugal staked claims in Latin America. And with each conquest came new demands: new crops, new labor, new soil. Enter guano. In the early 1800s, European and American scientists became obsessed with nitrogen. Crops were failing, soil was exhausted. Guano, rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, was discovered on the islands off the coast of Peru. The world's first major fertilizer trade was born. But it wasn't a clean story. The guano trade was brutal. Indigenous laborers and enslaved people were forced to scrape it by hand in choking heat. Guano Islands were annexed, seized, and fought over by the U.S., Britain, Spain, and others. In 1856, the U.S. passed the Guano Islands Act, allowing citizens to claim uninhabited islands in the name of fertilizer. Not food, fertilizer. For the Inca, guano wasn't just fertilizer, it was sacred. Any disturbance of nesting birds was punishable by death. But we were now willing to wage war for soil amendments. Agriculture had officially joined the arms race. Today's voice comes not from a farmer or a general, but a poet. William Blake, writing in the early 1800s, saw the creeping machinery of empire, industry, and control. In his poem London, he writes, "I wander through each chartered street, near where the chartered Thames does flow, and mark in every face I meet marks of weakness, marks of woe." He saw how systems of power, charters, ownership, industry were beginning to press down on ordinary life. The streets were chartered, the river was chartered, even nature was becoming property. That was true for London, and it was true for soil. What it means for us. In this era, a new mindset took root. Nature is a machine, and machines can be optimized. The logic of war, centralized power, resource extraction, mass production, was seeping into farming, and not just farming, education, medicine, labor, land. Everything became measurable, extractable, colonizable. Even the soil was no longer a living system. It was just a container for yield. The earth became an engine, and death, whether on the battlefield or on the farm, became a line item. From Page to the Soil. William Blake's The Chimney Sweeper gives voice to the quiet violence of systems that justify harm in the name of progress. And because I am happy and dance and sing, they think they have done me no injury. These words belong to a child laborer, soot-covered and soil-bound, asked to smile for the sake of the story being sold. In the 1800s, guano was celebrated as miracle, a gift from the gods of growth, fertilizer that could feed nations, but the story skipped the middle chapters of colonized islands, suffocating laborers, vanished birds. Guano was not just fertilizer. It was a fantasy, a way to feel good about damage so long as someone else paid the cost. Blake's poems remind us that not all wounds bleed. Some disappear into soot, some into soil. And still the land remembers. The earth does not need to raise its voice. It only needs to stop growing. And the ground beneath our feet is not passive. It waits, it breathes, and it listens, because the land does not forget that once we traded birdshit for blood. Next episode, we enter the era of modern war, when poison left the trenches and seeped into our gardens. It's called Trenches and Toxins. I hope you'll join me. That wraps up this episode of Peace is Here. Will you please take a moment to subscribe and share it with a friend? Subscribing helps others discover peaceful, independent storytelling, and it means a lot to me. I'm Avis Kalfsbeck, author of the Pedro the Water Dog Saves the Planet series, eco-adventure novellas for readers who care about environmental justice, joy, and saving the world one story at a time. You can learn more at aviskalfsbeck.com. Book 6, Mono Mutante, is now available at all major online retailers, or if you'd like to support my book directly, you can get the ebook at aviskalfsbeck.com/mono-mutante. It's a wild satirical ride through food, farming, and the messiness of recovery. When you subscribe to my list, you'll also be the first to hear about my next book, Bulletproof, which asks, what in the world are we going to do about guns? A link to subscribe is in the show notes. From October 18th to November 8th, 2025, I'm running a live Kickstarter campaign. I'd be so grateful if you'd visit aviskalfsbeck.com/Kickstarter to get notified. I'm creating a companion field journal for Book 1, One More Year, called Peace Stuff Primer, along with a stage play version of the book. I can't wait to share it with you. This episode was human narrated by me with the help of AI, which has promised to let me know if it ever makes something up. So far, no confessions, but if you think I've missed something or if you just want to say hello, I'd love to hear from you. Podcast music is by Javier Peque Rodriguez. You'll find links to his music on Spotify and Bandcamp in the show notes. I'm Avis Kalfsbeck. Thank you again. Until next time, listen for the peace.